Thank you. Can I ask the members of the public leaving in the gallery to do so quietly, as this Parliament is still in session and we're moving on to the next item of business, which is a members' business debate on motion 18570 in the name of Kenneth Gibson on Doors Open Days 2019. This debate will be concluded without any questions being put. Can I ask those members who wish to speak in the debate to press the request to speak buttons now? And I call on Kenneth Gibson to open the debate. Mr Gibson, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. And I'm delighted to open this debate, and I'm grateful to colleagues who signed my motion, allowing us to draw attention to Doors Open Days in Scotland, which this year marks its 30th incarnation. Throughout the month of September, Scotland's historic sites open their doors to the public free of charge to celebrate Scotland's heritage and built environment. The first ever Doors Open Days were held in France in 1984. Following the lead of France, Netherlands, Sweden, Republic of Ireland and Belgium began to open their historical sites to the general public. After witnessing the success in the Netherlands, John Gerrard, then Director of the Scottish Civic Trust, introduced the concept to Scotland and piloted the scheme in Glasgow and Ayr in 1990. As part of the European City of Culture celebrations, heritage sites were open to the public to promote heritage and architecture. After a resounding success with the pilot schemes, Doors Open Day celebrations now take place across all 32 of Scotland's local authority areas. The purpose is to ensure that Scotland's built heritage, new and old, is made accessible to people living and visiting the country on weekends in September. Alongside the opening of historic sites, special exhibitions of new and old artefacts are showcased and expert tours are offered to visitors. Since it began, Doors Open Days now take place across 49 European countries and have spread to the United States, Canada and Australia. This year, hundreds of thousands of people throughout the signatory states of the European Cultural Convention will celebrate Europe's cultural heritage under the programme of Europe, a Common Heritage. The principal purpose of the convention is to deepen and develop a European culture, building upon local heritage to further cement bonds within our European neighbours. The events in Scotland throughout September are Scotland's contribution to European Heritage Days and the broader European project. This year, celebrations will be enhanced as Doors Open Days will coincide with Historic Environment Scotland's Heritage Awareness Day on Thursday, 28th of September. And as colleagues are aware, Historic Environment Scotland is tasked with investigating, caring for and promoting Scotland's rich historic environment. This month, more than 1,000 buildings are expected to open in Scotland, generating over 200,000 visits to our heritage and architectural sites across the country. I welcome efforts to enhance citizen participation in these events, and we should encourage locals and visitors to take the opportunity to explore some of the world-class examples of architecture and building design in their communities. In North Ayrshire, this weekend, 24 venues will be available to visit. For example, Ardrossan Castle Heritage Society will open Ardrossan Castle with exhibitions of recently excavated artefacts, and in fact, I was involved in excavating some of those myself. In Irvine, the Scottish Maritime Museum will open its 1920s shipyard workers' tenement flat and the fitting shed to allow visitors the chance of exploring the history of their ancestors. Similarly, Old Kirk in Beath, built in 1590, where Reverend John Witherspoon, a signatory to the US Declaration of Independence, President of New Jersey College, now Princeton University, ancestor of Oscar-winning actress Reese Witherspoon, was parish minister in 1745 to 57, will be open to the public. And in the North East, the Aberdeen Treasure Hub Museum Centre will hold an exhibition. The hub is a purpose-built storage facility for the Aberdeen Art Gallery and Museum's extensive collections of decorative art, costumes, painting, sculpture and objects relating to Aberdeen's archaeology, maritime history, science and industry. Glasgow Building Preservation Trust has organised a Doors Open Day festival to allow the public to explore over 200 open buildings, guided walks and events throughout the city. The festival highlights iconic historic sites and displays the stunning and well-preserved Victorian, Art Nouveau and Gothic architecture of the city. From the medieval architecture of Glasgow Cathedral, built between the 13th and 15th centuries, to the legacy of being the second city of the Empire, with Victorian architecture of Kelmgrove Art Gallery and Museum, and the city chambers, built in the late 19th and 20th century, Doors Open Days allow these national treasures to be highlighted. In Fife, to mark the 30th year of Days Open Days, a record 65 sites will be open to the public. One of the most popular is expected to be a 1940s-era house in Cooper, fitted, furnished, and with appliances from the pre-war era to create a truly immersive experience and bring history alive. In Stirling, the city's rich and vibrant heritage sites will open to mark the 25th anniversary of Stirling's participation in Doors Open Days. And in the Scottish Borders, a guided walking tour of Stobbs Camp will showcase a First World War training and internment camp, one of the world's best preserved prisoner of war camps. Near the end of celebrations on the island of Orkney, Stromness Museum will display its vast collections on archaeology, ethnography, maritime, social and natural history. And last but not least, in Edinburgh, Barnton Quarry, which during the Second World War was utilised as the home of the RAF Sector Operations Centre for the Turnhouse Sector 13 Group, RAF Fighter Command, will be accessible to the public. The capital will also open 8 new venues this year for the public to explore, such as Panmure House, the only surviving home of Adam Smith, the great Scottish economist and philosopher, from where he authored 4 new editions of his seminal work, Wealth of Nations. I've mentioned only a few of the myriad historic and heritage sites that will be open to the public in Scotland throughout this month. A hugely varied geographic and subject choice is on offer. Presiding Officer, in closing, I would like to offer a special note of thanks to the Scottish Civic Trust, which provides essential funding and organisational assistance to ensure Doors Open Days can take place throughout Scotland. I also wish to express my thanks to the 6,300 volunteers who last year gave up 29,000 hours of their time to ensure 2018's events were such a great success, and to thank them in advance, those who will help this year. We should all note the positive and valuable impact that Doors Open Days have on our local communities by increasing knowledge of Scotland's built heritage. As the American historian David McCullough stated, history is who we are and why we are the way we are. Therefore, we should strive to celebrate and explore Scotland's extensive and rich heritage, and hope colleagues and their families will join with thousands of others to enjoy Doors Open Days events this month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Gibson. And I call Rachel Hamilton, who will be followed by Gordon MacDonald. Ms Hamilton, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak in the Open Doors debate today, and I want to thank Kenneth Gibson for bringing the debate to the Chamber and for celebrating its 30th birthday this year. And what's not to like about Scotland's largest free festival that celebrates heritage and the built environment, offers free access to thousands of venues across Scotland throughout this month. Undoubtedly, it is a fantastic initiative, and it gives the public an insight in some of Scotland's greatest buildings, and indeed an experience to savour, perhaps that some people have never had before. The aim of the Doors Open Days is to ensure that Scotland's built heritage, new and old, is made accessible to people living and visiting on those weekends in September, and I encourage everyone to go and take advantage of that. And I'm sure that we've all looked at buildings and wondered what lies behind the facade. The built environment in our local communities often tells us weird and wonderful stories of our past, and Doors Open Days my own constituency of Ettrick, Roxburgh and Berwickshire, Doors Open is a roaring success, with the majority of open buildings being in Hawick. There are many buildings participating again in 2019, with 11 buildings and 2 walking tours planned, taking in textiles, rugby and a former First World War military training camp, which is called Stobbs Camp and is based near Teviot Head, just outside Hawick. And one building which attracted my attention was the Borders Distillery, and the building was originally designed for the Hawick Urban Electric Company in a Tudor Cotswold style in the early 20th century. It's a really, really beautiful building, and then became an engineer's workshop for Turnbull and Scott. And it was brought back into use by the Borders Distillery in 2018 with a tasteful conversion, which has brilliantly won a number of national awards, including the Scottish Borders Council Design Award last year, and the National Civic Trust and RIAS awards too. But it's also, of course, a chance to have a free distillery tour and see how their award-winning spirit is made. And there's a great history behind the Kerrs gin, which you'll manage to get a taste of at the end of the tour, so you will not be disappointed. And also the fantastic men's shed, which we've often talked about here in this chamber, it's also open, and I would thoroughly recommend visiting to see the excellent work they do in tackling social isolation and fostering that very important community spirit. And not only are they all self-funding, but they carry out tasks within the local community, such as building flower boxes, bird boxes, refurbishing old furniture and making garden furniture. And just in conclusion, I really want to thank all those involved in the Doors Open Day, because without the volunteers, they wouldn't be achievable. And my special thanks goes to all those volunteers who will work tirelessly to give those tours. I'm proud, I'm sure, as everyone else is in the chamber, of what they do to showcase what we have on offer in Scotland and the hard work that they do to open up these fantastic buildings to the public. Let me say, just to conclude, Scotland has the world's most intriguing, eclectic and awe-inspiring built architecture, and I would encourage everyone to visit and explore one of the many buildings open in September. And finally, I want to thank everybody in Hawick and all the best. Thank them for the hard work, and I just hope that more places in the borders manage to emulate the work of Hawick in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I call Gordon MacDonald, to be followed by Rhoda Grant. Mr MacDonald, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. And I also thank Kenny Gibson for bringing forward this motion that gives us the opportunity to highlight some interesting buildings in our constituencies. Doors Open Day is Scotland's largest free festival that celebrates our heritage and built environment, offering free access to over 1,000 venues across the country throughout September every year. And as Kenny Gibson said, Scottish Doors Open Day first took place in Glasgow in Ayr 1990, where it formed part of the European City of Culture celebrations. And it was the following year, in 1991, that the Coburn Association, Edinburgh Civic Trust, organised the first Edinburgh Doors Open Day. And 29 years later, this year's event will take place on the 28th and 29th of September, where across Edinburgh, a diverse range of buildings will be open to the public for the weekend. From the Seafield Treatment Works, which is Scotland's largest wastewater treatment facility, to the Anatomical Museum at the University of Edinburgh that opened in 1884 and has on display the skeleton of the serial killer William Burke. I have no doubt that both of those will attract the curious visitor, but there are also plenty of places for residents of Edinburgh Pentlands to explore on their own doorstep. Harlaw House is one example. Originally built in 1848 as a waterkeeper's cottage, soon after the reservoir was constructed, it is now a visitors' information centre for the Pentland Hills Regional Park, with a wildlife garden maintained by the dedicated local group Friends of the Pentlands. There will also be a variety of other local community organisations showcasing their work, including Harlaw Hydro, Balerno Village Trust, Youth Vision, Benally Scout Camp, Bobcat, Alpacas and Maleny Angling Association. Now, once you manage to get your way around all of their projects, you can head out to Rathol Byers Forge, a family-run business established over 40 years ago, designing and creating contemporary metalwork. This is a particularly unique opportunity to see blacksmith forging of mild steel using the traditional hammer and anvil. Heading back into Edinburgh, you can stop off at St Nicholas Church in Sighthill, which was opened in 1957 and is this month celebrating the founding of the original parish church 80 years ago. The B-listed church was designed by Ross Doak and Whitelaw in a modernist style, and with its copper roof was intended as a landmark on the A71 into Edinburgh. Short distance away in Wester Hailes is the Wales Arts Centre, which is a brilliant community arts venue built in 2000. It was designed by Zoo Architects and funded through the Scottish Arts Council. The building is a unique local asset with its distinctive murals brightening up the community. And with its exhibition space, art workshop, performance space and garden, there is always something interesting going on. After that, there is no better place to have a rest than at the Red Hall Walled Garden, an 18th century garden and summer house run by the Scottish Association for Mental Health. It is a working garden which provides a beautiful setting for a remarkable mental health service, nestled in the peaceful haven of Edinburgh Collington Dell. It is truly an oasis in the city, which I have visited on many an occasion, and if you can get to along, go for see for yourself. Doors Open Day has been an annual event in Edinburgh for the past 29 years, where I, along with many others, have had the opportunity to visit many remarkable buildings not normally open to the public. I would urge Edinburgh residents to take advantage of this opportunity at the end of this month to satisfy their curiosity and find out what might lie behind that door.
Thank you very much, Ms MacDonald. I call Rhoda Grant. Ms Grant, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I would like to congratulate Kenneth Gibson for securing this debate and join him in paying tribute to Scottish Civic Trust and their partners for organising Open Doors Day this year. As others have said, this allows attractions, museums, historical sites and cultural sites to give free access to the public at some point in September. And this encourages people into these places, but more importantly, it also allows those who might not normally afford access to them to get in and enjoy them this month. And access to our culture and heritage is really important for education, especially for young people, but it is also increasingly important for our well-being. And Historic Environment Scotland are investigating the impact of our heritage on our well-being and happiness. And we all acknowledge the importance of well-being, but we seldom give it priority. It's important both for physical and mental health, and indeed for the pursuit of happiness. So Historic Environment Scotland survey, I think, is really important. It closes tomorrow, so I'm encouraging people to respond to it so that we can maybe get better information surrounding well-being and our heritage. I was looking through the Open Doors Day site, and while I was preparing for the debate, and I saw that there was many organisations and places in the Highlands and Islands involved in Open Doors Day this year. Too many to mention them all here. There's churches, civic buildings, museums, and places of interest. And one of my personal favourites I noticed was taking part is the Highland Folk Museum. And I haven't been there for a long time, so I'm thinking that this debate, if it does nothing else, might prompt me to go along and have another look there, and maybe indeed prompt others to make use of and visit the places of interest in their area. In Murray, fittingly, there's the opportunity to visit a distillery, and also taking part, and I thought this was maybe slightly different, which is why I'm bringing it to your attention, the Environmental Research Institute in Caithness is taking part, and it's a centre of excellence placed very close to the flow country, and indeed is leading research on the protection of peatlands. And they host students from all over the world, including some doing their PhDs. So it's very interesting that that's involved. And I think for those interested in our natural heritage, they should maybe go along and see some of the wonderful work that's taking part. And I think these few examples show the spectrum of places of interest that are taking part. There's something indeed for everyone. So I welcome the initiative. It would be great to see it extended in order that those that can't afford to pay entrance fees might access those sites more often. But it's a wonderful opportunity, and I would encourage people to take part and make use of it.
Thank you very much. And I call on Fiona Hislop to close the Government. Cabinet Secretary, please.
In closing today's debate, I'd first of all like to thank Kenneth Gibson for securing the motion and those members present who contributed to such an informative debate. The motion rightly congratulates and celebrates the Scottish Civic Trust's role in coordinating the Doors Open Day initiative over the past 30 years. And over that period, the Doors Open Days initiative has become a vital part of how we can all appreciate and experience our rich built heritage. And I would like to add my thanks to those already expressed in the Chamber, to everyone from the Scottish Civic Trust for all the hard work that goes into Doors Open Day. Since the organisation's birth in 1967, the Scottish Civic Trust has contributed to the care, promotion and understanding of our rich built heritage. And as Cabinet Secretary with responsibility for the historic environment, I have had the pleasure of seeing firsthand the excellent work which is undertaken by the Trust on behalf of the people of Scotland. The Trust's core activities give the organisation the opportunity to raise the profile of Scotland and its rich built environment. And the Trust is really doing a magnificent job in promoting a remarkable built heritage. And we're here today to celebrate Doors Open Days and the role of the Civic Trust in coordinating it in its 30th anniversary year. The First Minister helped to launch this year's festival at Govan Hill Baths last Thursday with a special concert set amongst the Blooms with a View installation. As noted in the motion, Doors Open Day is Scotland's largest free annual architectural event and is part of European Heritage Days alongside Scottish Archaeology Month, which is coordinated by Archaeology Scotland. And I'm sure many members have taken the opportunity provided by the scheme over the years to visit historic properties and other buildings across Scotland that are not usually open to the public. Kenneth Gibson acknowledges in the motion the number of activities in North Ayrshire. Rhoda Grant has just highlighted the Research Institute in Caithness. Gordon MacDonald talked about the curious and eclectic stories of Edinburgh with his contribution and the extensive Petlands offering, as well as the Ratho blacksmith activity. And Rachel Hamilton mentioned the Borders Distillery in Hoyk, a remarkable reuse of heritage, which I visited recently, and I would certainly commend a visit to that distillery. In my own area of West Lothian, next weekend's Doors Open Day opens up a wide range of properties, from Blackburn House to Linlithgow museums, as well as churches from a variety of denominations. And since first established 30 years ago, Doors Open Day has become a hugely successful and popular annual event, and the figures we have are impressive. The initiative provides free access to 1,000 venues, attracts 100,000 participants and generates over 200,000 visits across Scotland. And this is a remarkable success story which demonstrates clearly the passion and fascination that the people of Scotland have for their built heritage. Indeed, Doors Open Day allows the people of Scotland and visitors from around the globe to explore and learn about the myriad of different buildings that form a part of our story and our collective heritage. The Doors Open Day initiative, along with Scottish Archaeology Month, forms Scotland's contribution to European Heritage Days, as set out by Kenneth Gibson. It sees over 25 million people across Europe and also from additional 50 countries taking part annually in around 50,000 events. So it unites our communities in a unique celebration of heritage in our own special ways. And I believe that by experiencing our shared heritage, it's critically important for us to understand each other in these deeply uncertain times. Across Europe, we have a shared past and shared values, and we must not lose sight of that. The original Doors Open Day in 1990 meant that Scotland was the first of the UK nations to participate in European Heritage Days, and it's fitting that in this 30th anniversary year, the Cultural Embassies strand of the festival links individual Scottish buildings to 27 European countries with which Scotland has cultural ties. Some of these ties are well known. For example, our links with Poland, recorded in the borders at the Great Polish Map of Scotland, which I know the Deputy Presiding Officer has a keen interest in, and the world-famous Italian Chapel in Orkney. Cultural Embassies shines a light on less familiar connections, such as between Glenrothes and Estonia, Perth and Malta. And I congratulate the Scottish Civic Trust on this imaginative initiative celebrating our European ties. And I'd also like to mention the involvement of the Young Advisory Panel in this year's Doors Open Days. The panel of 6 young people have worked with designers to produce printed guides and video content for days out in 6 of the Doors Open weekends, including itineraries and places to eat. And I welcome this initiative, funded by the Year of Young People National Lottery, as building on the activity encouraged by Scotland's 2018 Year of Young People. And while Doors Open Days is coordinated by the Scottish Civic Trust, I'm also pleased that the Scottish Government has been able to support the work of the Trust through Historic Environment Scotland. Historic Environment Scotland have funded the Doors Open Day project for many years now, both as Historic Scotland since 1991 and now as Historic Environment Scotland. And since becoming Historic Environment Scotland in 2015, the organisation has provided over £237,000 in support of the Doors Open Day initiative. So the importance of our built heritage to Scotland's culture, economy and well-being cannot be overestimated. And the Doors Open Day initiative plays a key role in enabling local communities, as well as visitors to our country, to engage with the built heritage around us. So I would encourage all members across the Parliament and as many people as possible to take full advantage of Doors Open Day to offer and enjoy the buildings that are as part of our history, our culture and our communities. I'd like to congratulate the Scottish Civic Trust again, to thank the Trust's dedicated and hard-working staff and indeed all the volunteers who help support it. And I wish them well in the continued success of the Doors Open Day initiative. Their hard work has increased appreciation and enjoyment of Scotland's built and cultural heritage and has helped promote inclusion in Scotland's civic spaces.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. That concludes the debate. I suspend this meeting of Parliament till 2 p.m.